Well, howdy, my fellow quarantined 8th graders. I hope you guys are safe. Hope you guys are well. Make sure you're washing your hands. My boys who sit in the back, I know you. Wash your hands, okay? So, the day before we left, and kind of just the week before we left, we were talking about traits and how traits get passed on, right? We were looking at adaptable traits, non-adaptable traits. We took a look at yellow birds versus blue birds and which one is more likely to survive in an environment. In a yellow environment, we found that the yellow birds, over 50 generations, the yellow birds were more likely to survive, they were more likely to have kids, and so the population turned yellow after 50 generations, right? And so that is kind of what we studied, is how these traits get to be passed on and how populations look the way they look. And then we started looking at exactly how do these traits get passed on. So why do I have black hair? Or how do these birds get to be yellow, right? And we started looking at all of these big words, and we took a look at the big vocab words and these weird square things. And that was what the assignment yesterday was about. And I realized this is kind of fresh in everybody's minds because we didn't get a chance to practice it. So I wanted to make this video to help you guys out, to make sure we're all on the same page. So right now would be a great time to go grab a pen and a piece of paper so you can go through these 4 review problems that I assigned yesterday. We're going to go through them together. And so if you have a pen and paper, it's going to make it a lot easier to go through them right now. So go ahead and hit pause on the video, go grab that. Boom. Thank you for grabbing that. Okay, we're going to go through these problems together. I'm going to go through some of the big words that you could have seen and that you might not have known. So let's just go through these 4 problems. On here, I have these Punnett squares set up. So if you remember, a Punnett square is just a big square with 4 little squares inside of it. And we use these to help us decide what is the offspring or what is the kid of 2 individuals going to look like based on their traits. Okay? So one parent is going to go at the top. One parent is going to go on this side. Okay, and that'll make a little bit more sense when we look at the first question. So your first question on your review, and once you get this done, guys, once we do this, I want you guys to go in there, and if some of you don't have it done, I notice some of us don't have it done, go ahead and use my answers and answer that in the review. And if you don't have it all right, go back and edit it. But I do want to make sure everybody can use these answers to put on the review. So number 1 says, in peas, yellow seeds are dominant over green seeds. If a YY plant is crossed with an uppercase Y plant, what ratio of plants in the offspring would you predict? There's a lot of big words there, guys. A lot of big words. So let's go over a few of them. Yellow seeds are dominant. That means that anytime you see the capital Y trait, the capital Y gene in a pea plant, every time any plant with a yellow gene in it, that plant is going to be yellow because it's dominant. So it's going to bully the other gene and make sure it shows itself. Green is recessive, meaning green is dominated by the yellow. So you have to have 2 green genes in you to be green, right? And we say 2 genes because it gets 1 gene passed on from its dad, 1 trait passed on by its mom. So let's go ahead and take a look at number 1 and how to set up number 1 on a Punnett square. So if you have a plant that has 2 lowercase y's, boom, boom. It's hard to draw upside down, right? 2 lowercase y's and 2 uppercase y's. So I put the 2 lowercase y parent at top, 2 uppercase y parent on the side. Now what we have to do is we have to make them, have kids. So how we do this is we bring this uppercase y over, and we bring this lowercase y down. So over and down. So what we're saying, and I know it's a little bit sloppy, guys, but what we're saying is their first kid that they could have, the Y, uppercase Y, will be passed on to it, and the lowercase y would be passed on to it from both parents, uppercase and lowercase. If one parent passed on each gene, then it'd be an uppercase and a lowercase y, meaning that this plant would be yellow. Because yellow is dominant, so it's always going to be yellow if it's got that capital Y. So I want to put a check mark there to say, hey, that is a yellow plant, that is a dominant plant. Okay, let's try this again. Same thing, we're going to bring the uppercase Y over because that is what one parent passed on to it. And we're going to bring this lowercase y down. That is another yellow offspring. Put a check mark there. It's got an uppercase there. Anytime you have an uppercase, that means the dominant trait is going to win. Let's try another one. Down here at the bottom, we have a lowercase y at the top and an uppercase y here. So I'm going to make a capital Y and a lowercase y. We have a capital in it. Anytime you see the capital, anytime you see the dominant trait, it's going to be dominant. So that is also going to be yellow. Here, anytime you see another big Y and a small y, that's going to get check marked because it has an uppercase Y in it. So that means it's going to be a yellow plant. So all four of these offspring are yellow. So if we said, hey, what should we expect if these two plants cross and made another plant? What color should we expect? Well, 100% of the time, they made yellow plants. So for number one, you would say 100% of the offspring will be yellow. That is what this is showing us. So 100% would be yellow based on this Punnett square. Let's go on to number two. What ratio of plants in the offspring would you predict from A, and it has an uppercase Y and a lowercase y, crossing with an uppercase Y and another lowercase y plant, okay? So it's saying, what are you going to predict if these two plants with these traits in them, what would you predict if they had offspring? So let's look and do the exact same thing we did with this one. Let's bring it over here. So at the very top, I have an uppercase Y and another uppercase Y. Now if you have two uppercase Ys, obviously you have an uppercase Y there. That is going to be a yellow plant. We call this type of plant a homozygous plant because it has two of the same trait. Homozygous means same trait. Now, we do the same thing. Bring that uppercase Y over from one of its parents, boom, and bring the lowercase y down, like that, okay? So this is what we call a heterozygous plant because it has two different traits in it, but if you notice, it still has the uppercase Y, so boom, it is also yellow. Do the same thing. Bring that Y down, lowercase y across, another dominant plant, another yellow plant. Now this is where it gets interesting though, because if you look, I can bring that lowercase y over, and I can bring the other lowercase y over. Check it. This is a homozygous plant again, but it doesn't have any uppercase y. So this shows that we actually have a green plant here because there's no yellow trait there. There's no dominant trait to take over. So these are both recessive traits. We're going to have a green plant. So the question asked, what is the ratio of plants? We could take it as a percentage. Percentage-wise, 3 out of 4 of them are dominated. So that means 75%, 3/4 are going to be yellow. But 25% or 1/4 will be green. So anytime we cross these two plants, 75% of the time you can expect them to make a yellow plant. 25% of the time they're going to make a green plant. I hope this is starting to make sense to you. We're going to go over the next two and then I'm going to end the video. Boom. Okay, 3 and 4. Talking about guinea pigs now. Smooth coat is dominant. So capital S and rough coat is recessive, so lowercase s. So it asks if a capital SS and a lowercase ss pig were to mate, what kind of kids would they make? We're going to set this Punnett square up the exact same way. We know one pig is capital S, another capital S, and we know one other pig is lowercase s. I think I made that wrong. Lowercase s, lowercase s, right? So let's go ahead and make them have offspring. We have, from the top, we have a capital S, lowercase s, boom, boom. Gonna do the same thing here, capital S, lowercase s. Same thing, we're gonna bring this capital S down all the way here. From one parent, lowercase s from the next. Capital S from one parent, lowercase s from the next. It is really hard to make s's upside down. Okay, so here we have our S, S, and lowercase s, s cross. Check it. Every one of these has a capital S in it. So we're going to put a check mark there. Boom, 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 boom. Meaning every time these two guinea pigs have kids, we should expect that they should have smooth coats because it's dominant. So 100% of the offspring are smooth coat guinea pigs. Now let's try one more. Let's try number 4. Number 4 asks if you had a capital S, lowercase s cross with a 2 lowercase s guinea pig. So remember these letters, guys, these letters represent what genes are in them. So we're going to go over the genes right here. One parent is a capital S parent, the lowercase s, and the other parent is 2 lowercase s's. Okay, boom. Let's talk about it. Bring the capital S down. Bring the lowercase s over. That is a guinea pig with a smooth coat. So I'm going to check mark it because it's got the dominant trait. Now here, if you look, it has 2 lowercase s's, meaning this is a pig with the recessive gene. That is a rough coat guinea pig. Gonna do the same thing here, capital S, lowercase s, check mark it because it has a capital in it. That means it is going to be dominant. It's gonna have a smooth coat. This one though, again, 2 lowercase s's, showing that it is recessive, showing that it will have a rough coat. So that question actually, if these 2 pigs made new guinea pigs, 50% of the time we should expect those guinea pigs to have 2 out of 4, they should have smooth coats. The other 2 out of 4, 50% of the chance, it'll have rough coats. So this answer, it'll say 50% smooth, 50% rough. I realize this video is a little long, but it had to be to get over everything. If you have any questions over the vocab that I've shared, over this assignment, make sure you email me. I have office hours on Tuesday and Thursday as well. You can always visit with me then. Make sure you guys let me know what your questions are. But I am Mr. Mowdy. That is the way the cookie crumbles. Have a good day, guys.